All right, let's get right into it. We've all been told that it's all about the numbers, right? Calories in, calories out. But what if that's not even close to the full story? Today, we're going to decode your body's secret language. We'll explore how the quality of your food sends these powerful biological signals that, honestly, have a way bigger impact than any calorie count ever could. So, does this sound familiar to you? You're standing in front of the mirror, you're looking at that stubborn belly fat that just will not budge, and you're thinking, I'm doing everything right. You've cut the calories, you're hitting the gym, but nothing is changing. It is so frustrating. But it turns out there's a real biological reason for it that has absolutely nothing to do with a lack of willpower. So here's the big shift we have to make. The old model, it treated our bodies like a simple calculator. But in reality, your body is this incredibly sophisticated chemistry lab. It doesn't just count calories. Nope. It reads signals from your food that influence everything from your hormones to inflammation and even your nervous system. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We're going to walk through 5 key areas. First, we'll get into why signals matter so much more than numbers. Then we'll dive into the gut, tackle inflammation, get a handle on some key hormones, and then we'll bring it all home with some super simple, powerful food swaps you can start making, like today. Okay, first up, let's really get to the core of this idea. Why is it so crucial to think of food as information? Let's talk about that deep, firm belly fat, what scientists call visceral fat. It's not just this passive lump of energy sitting there, no way. It's actually an active organ. It's producing its own hormones and inflammatory signals. It is constantly listening to the messages you send it through your stress levels, your sleep, and, you guessed it, your food. This is exactly why just eating less doesn't work if the signals you're sending are telling your body to hold on to that fat for dear life. So where do a lot of these signals even come from? Well, it turns out a huge part of this whole conversation starts in your gut, which is often called our second brain. Deep inside you, there's this hidden universe called the microbiome. And this isn't just about digestion, not at all. It's a communications hub. The absolute best way to think about it is like a lush forest. A healthy forest has a massive variety of plants, right? Well, a healthy gut needs a diverse community of good bacteria to send the right signals to your brain, your immune system, and your metabolism. So, how do we support this internal ecosystem? Well, we send it the right signals with our food. Things like fermented foods, kimchi, yogurt. They literally introduce good bacteria directly into the system. Fiber from things like chia seeds acts as the fuel for them. Bone broth gives easily digestible building blocks, and garlic has compounds that help keep everything in balance. See, these aren't just foods, they're tools for cultivating your own inner forest. And, when that inner forest is out of balance, it can start sending out distress signals. And that leads us directly to our next topic, the internal fire of chronic inflammation. When your body is stuck in a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation, it's like there's an invisible lock that gets clamped on your fat cells. This constant inflammatory signal makes your cells resistant to hormones like insulin, which means they are far more likely to store energy as fat instead of burning it. You could be eating way fewer calories, but if that lock is engaged, your body just won't cooperate. So the key is to send signals that turn down the inflammation. Foods rich in omega-3s like salmon are absolutely fantastic for this. Spices like turmeric and ginger have these powerful compounds that actively reduce those inflammatory signals. And yes, even dark chocolate, with its high flavonoid content, can send a really positive message. This is all about creating an internal environment where your body finally feels safe enough to unlock those fat cells. This brings us perfectly to our next section, getting a handle on the 2 hormones that are most responsive to our food signals, cortisol and insulin. Let's start with cortisol, the stress hormone. In our modern world, we're under constant low-grade stress, right? Work deadlines, endless phone notifications, even the blue light from our screens at night. Biologically, your body reads all of this as being in perpetual danger. And when it feels unsafe, its survival instinct just kicks in. The message it gets is conserve energy now. And that triggers fat storage, especially that visceral fat right around your vital organs. So how do you send a signal of safety? Well, one of the most powerful tools is magnesium. It plays a key role in calming the nervous system. An amazing food source, for example, is pumpkin seeds. By giving your body magnesium, you're not directly burning fat. You're sending a signal that says, hey, everything's okay. You can relax. And this allows your cortisol levels to come back down, creating the perfect conditions for fat release. Now for the other major player, Insulin. When you eat refined carbs or sugary foods, your blood sugar spikes dramatically. Your body responds by releasing this flood of insulin, which is, at its core, a storage hormone. Its main job is to get that sugar out of your blood, and it does that by screaming at your cells to store it, often as fat. If this is happening multiple times a day, your body is just stuck in constant storage mode. The solution here is to just slow things down. Soluble fiber, which you can find in abundance in chia and flax seeds, is incredible for this. It literally forms a gel in your stomach that physically slows down the absorption of glucose. So instead of that sharp spike, you get this gentle, steady rise in blood sugar. This sends a calm, stable signal, preventing that insulin flood and keeping your body out of storage mode.
Okay, we've covered the science. We get it. Now for the most practical part, right? How do we actually put all this into action with simple, everyday changes?
Let's start with grains. For example, just swapping white bread for sprouted green bread sends a signal for much slower energy release. Switching regular pasta for one made from chickpeas or lentils, that gives you more protein and fiber, signaling fullness. And replacing that sugary breakfast cereal with eggs, that sends a powerful signal for stable energy to start your day, so you can avoid that mid-morning crash.
Now let's look at fats and dairy. Swapping those industrial vegetable oils for something like avocado or olive oil sends a much less inflammatory signal. Choosing plain Greek yogurt over the flavored stuff cuts out that sugar spike. And opting for a simple, single-ingredient nut butter helps you avoid all those added sugars and processed oils that just mess with your body's sensitive signaling system. See? These aren't drastic changes, but the cumulative effect is absolutely huge.
And that really brings us to the most important takeaway of all this. It's not about fighting your body. It's not a battle of discipline or willpower. It's about understanding that your body is trying to communicate with you. And once you learn its language, the language of signals, you can stop fighting against it and finally start working with it. So I'll leave you with this one final thought. You don't have to change everything all at once. Just look at the signals that you're currently sending your body. What is the one small, simple swap you can make today to send a better signal? Because that is where real, sustainable change begins.